Have you ever returned to a place from your childhood only to realize it never really let you go? My name is Alex, and this happened last summer when my wife Sarah and I decided to fix up my late grandparents' old farm in the countryside far from the city noise. The land had been in the family for generations, but no one had lived there in over 20 years. Overgrown vines choked the fences, the fields were wild. Nature had taken back what was hers. We saw it as a fresh start, eco-friendly living, off-grid vibes, solar panels, rainwater collection, a way to escape the chaos and heal after everything we'd been through, especially after the miscarriage that left us both hollow. And before that, the slow unraveling of my parents' marriage that ended when I was 16. My father left for the city promising to send money, but never did. My mother drank more each year until she passed quietly in her sleep when I was 25. Leaving me the farm and her will along with a box of old letters I never opened until we moved in. The first week was peaceful, too peaceful. We'd clear brush by day, cook over an open fire at night, listen to the stars. But there was one thing on the property we couldn't ignore. The old well. It sat in the far corner of the yard, half hidden by tall grasses and creepers, stone ring cracked and moss-covered, wooden bucket long rotted away, just a black hole dropping into nothing. Grandpa always said never to play near it. The well remembers, he'd mutter. We laughed it off as old superstition. We planned to cap it eventually. Maybe turn the area into a garden, eco-friendly, right? Reuse the water if it was still good. Then the crying started. It was faint at first, like a child whimpering, carried on the wind. Sarah heard it one evening while hanging laundry. She froze, looked at me. Did you hear that? I hadn't, or maybe I pretended not to. But that night, lying in our sleeping bags on the creaky porch, I heard it too, soft, muffled sobs rising up from the direction of the well, not close enough to pinpoint, but close enough to make the hairs on my arms stand up. We told ourselves it was an animal, a fox maybe, or wind through the stones. But the next morning, we went to check. The well was silent in daylight, no echo, no drip, just still, black water about 20 feet down, reflecting the sky like a dark mirror. But something felt watched over the next few days. The cries grew clearer, always at dusk or dawn, when the light was thin, and they weren't random. They sounded personal, like someone calling a name, not ours, but names we knew. My mother's name, Sarah's brother's, even our unborn child's nickname we'd whispered about before the miscarriage last year. And now deeper ones. My father's name shouted in anger, my grandmother's soft, scolding voice from when I was small. We started recording it on our phones. At first nothing, just wind. But if we played it back at night with headphones, there it was, tiny voices layered under the sobs. Words we couldn't quite make out, but the tone was pleading, accusing. Sarah wanted to leave. I pushed back. We'd sunk everything into this place. It's just grief. I said, the quiet plays tricks, but deep down I knew better. The well wasn't empty. It was full of something that had been waiting. One night I couldn't sleep. The crying was louder, almost conversational. I grabbed a flashlight and walked out alone. The grass was wet with dew, cold against my bare feet. As I got closer, the sobs stopped. Abruptly, like someone noticed me, leaned over the rim, shone the light down. The beam caught movement, not reflection, something pale shifting just below the waterline. A hand, a face. It vanished before I could focus, but then a whisper drifted up, clear as if spoken in my ear. Alex, why did you let her drown? My stomach dropped. That was my grandmother's voice, the story I'd buried for years. When I was 8, my little cousin Ada fell in during a family gathering. I was supposed to watch her. I turned away for 1 second to chase a butterfly. She slipped under. They pulled her out too late. Everyone said it was an accident. No one blamed me out loud. But my grandmother never looked at me the same after that. She died a year later of a broken heart, they said, and I carried that guilt like a stone in my chest. But the well knew. What will you do if something buried in your past started speaking back? I backed away, heart hammering, told Sarah nothing, but she saw my face. That night the cries turned into words we both heard through the open window. Sarah's voice. No, not Sarah's, a mimic of it. You promised we'd be safe here. You lied. Our regrets, our failures, every secret we'd whispered only to each other. Now echoing up from that hole like it had been listening all along. And more family echoes. My father's last words before he left. You'll never amount to anything, boy. My mother's slurred goodnights. the sound of her bottle hitting the floor. We tried to fill it, shoveled dirt for hours the next day, but every bucket we dumped, the water level never rose. The earth just swallowed it. By evening, the pile of soil was gone, sucked down like it was hungry. That night the well spoke. Without crying, it listed things, dates, mistakes. The night you didn't call the doctor when she bled, the money you took from her savings to pay off your debts, the promise you broke to your dying grandfather to keep this land clean, not sell it to developers who poisoned the soil years ago with chemicals that seeped into everything. The farm had history we didn't know. Grandpa had buried barrels of old farm pesticides near the well decades back to hide them from inspectors. Nature had been slowly leaching it into the groundwater. But the well wasn't just contaminated, it was alive with it, with memory, with everything the land had absorbed, including our family's pain, my parents' fights that echoed across the fields, the day my cousin died, the silence that followed for years. We tried to leave, pack the car at dawn, but the engine wouldn't turn over, battery dead. Though it was fine the day before, phones showed no signal. Even though we'd had bars all week, the well was quiet now. Too quiet as the sun set that final evening. Sarah went to the porch. I found her staring at the well, tears streaming. It told me something. She whispered. It said if we stay, it'll stop. It'll let us have peace. But we have to give it something back. I asked what. She looked at me with eyes that weren't quite hers anymore. I don't remember walking to the well. Just the cold stone under my palms, the black water rising, impossibly fast, until it lapped at the rim. Shapes moved beneath, faces, hands reaching, my cousin's small face, my grandmother's stern one, my mother's tired eyes. I leaned in, whispered my deepest regret into the dark, and it answered. A sigh, like relief. The cry stopped. Sarah and I, we're still here. The farm is green again. The well is capped now, concrete poured thick. We tell ourselves it's over, but sometimes, late at night, when the wind dies and the crickets go silent, I hear dripping inside the walls, under the floorboards. And I wonder if we really filled it or if we just gave it a new place to echo. If you're listening to this, check your own quiet places, the basements, the backyards, the old wells life forgot, because some things don't stay buried, they wait, they remember, and when they're ready, they call you by name. If this story chilled you, drop a like, subscribe for more tales from the edges of the world, and tell me in the comments, what's the darkest secret your own home or land might be holding? Thanks for staying till the end. Sleep tight.